Hi everyone. We will move on to the next session with regard to variables. We will be discussing about control of variables in this session. So, just to give a recap of previous class, we have already discussed about variables, that is with regard to the meaning, definition and types. In this session, the learning objective is to understand the techniques of controlling variables. With regard to control of variables, we will be discussing about certain techniques such as randomization, elimination, matching and statistical control. First, let us know something more about control of variables. Confounding variables operate in the experimental situation in addition to the independent variable and affects the dependent variables. It is therefore essential that confounding variables must be controlled. If the researcher fails to control the confounding variables, it results in a confounded experiment. So, now let us discuss one of the most important way to control the confounding variable, that is randomization. Randomization means random selection of the experimental units from the larger population. It is one of the important method of controlling extraneous variables. It is considered to be the most important way to control the variability due to all possible extraneous sources. If thorough randomization has been achieved, then the treatment groups in the experiment could be considered statistically equal in all possible ways. Randomization is a powerful method of controlling variable. In other words, it's a procedure for equating groups with respect to secondary variable. Random assignment means that every experimental unit has an equal chance of being placed in any of the treatment conditions or groups. Now we'll move on to the second method to control the variables, that is elimination. It is the easiest way to control the unwanted extraneous variable through elimination of variable. Suppose the sex of the subject as unwanted secondary variable is found to influence the variable in an experiment. Therefore, the variable of sex has to be controlled. The researcher may decide to take either all males or all females in an experiment and thus control through elimination the variability due to sex variable. By using elimination for controlling the extraneous variable, researcher loses the power of generalization. If the researcher selects a subject from a restricted range, then the researcher can generalize the results within restricted range and not outside it. Elimination procedure is used in non-experimental design. The third important way of controlling extraneous variable is matching. The relevant variables are equated or held constant across all conditions of experiment. This procedure is also a non-experimental procedure. Here the relevant variable are equated or held constant across all conditions of experiments. Suppose if the researcher finds that the variable of intelligence is highly correlated with the dependent variable, it's better to control the variance through matching on the variable of intelligence. However, as a method of control, matching limits the availability of subjects. If the researcher decides to match subjects on 2 or 3 variables, he may not find enough subjects for the experiment. Besides this, the method of matching biases the principles of randomization. The fourth method is statistical control. In this approach, no attempt is made to restrain the influence of secondary variables. Here, one or more concomitant secondary variables are measured and the dependent variable is statistically adjusted to remove the effects of uncontrolled sources of variation. Analysis of covariances is one such technique. It is used to remove statistically the possible amount of variation in the concomitant secondary variable. So, in this session, we have discussed with regard to various techniques of controlling the variables. Thank you.